July 4th, 2021. While Americans were celebrating Independence Day with fireworks and freedom, a different kind of explosion was happening 4,000 miles away. 800 grocery stores in Sweden suddenly went dark. Gas stations couldn't process payments. Over 1,500 businesses worldwide were frozen in digital paralysis. This wasn't a coincidence. This wasn't random. This was a perfectly orchestrated military precision cyber attack designed for maximum chaos when IT defenders were celebrating with their families. The architects? The REvil ransomware gang. And they didn't just attack one company, they weaponized the entire backbone of modern business IT. I'm Fred, and this is Easy Digital Safety. Today, we're dissecting the Kaseya apocalypse, the attack that turned a holiday weekend into a masterclass in strategic economic warfare. But here's what makes this attack truly diabolical. To understand how REvil pulled this off, you need to understand a hidden vulnerability that most businesses don't even know exists: the managed service provider ecosystem. Think about your local dentist, your accountant, that family-owned restaurant down the street. They can't afford their own IT departments, so they do what makes sense. They outsource everything to managed service providers, or MSPs. Now, to manage hundreds of these small businesses remotely, MSPs rely on a single, powerful piece of software. In this case, Kaseya VSA, Virtual System Administrator. Imagine Kaseya VSA as the master remote control for thousands of small businesses. One click can install software, run security updates, manage everything from dental records to restaurant cash registers. This creates what cybersecurity experts call a supply chain dependency. Compromise that one tool, and you don't just hit one business, you instantly compromise thousands. The REvil gang understood this perfectly. They weren't planning a burglary, they were planning a mass casualty event. Meet your attacker, REvil, a professional, Russian-speaking ransomware as a service operation. These weren't basement hackers, they were a sophisticated criminal enterprise with military-grade tactics. Their weapon? A zero-day vulnerability in Kaseya VSA software, specifically an authentication bypass tracked as CVE 2021-3116. In simple terms, this flaw was like having a master key to every building in the city, and the security guards didn't even know the key existed. At exactly 2 p.m. Eastern Time on July 2nd, right before the long holiday weekend, REvil launched their assault. But here's the genius part. They didn't target the small businesses directly. They targeted the MSPs through their own trusted Kaseya platform. They triggered what appeared to be a routine software update. Kaseya VSA, doing exactly what it was designed to do, obediently pushed this update, which was actually REvil ransomware, to over 200 MSPs, who then automatically deployed it to all of their 1,500 plus clients. In minutes, a single malicious command had cascaded into the largest supply chain ransomware attack in history. Picture this. You're a mother in rural Sweden, trying to buy groceries for your family on a Saturday morning. You arrive at your local Coop store, but the doors are locked. Not for maintenance, not for renovation. Because of a cyber attack launched 4,000 miles away by criminals you'll never meet. This was the human reality of the Kaseya attack. As IT administrators' phones exploded with alerts during what should have been a peaceful holiday weekend, entire business ecosystems were grinding to a halt. The Coop grocery chain became the poster child for this chaos. Their cash register system was managed by an MSP that used Kaseya. When the ransomware hit, all 800 of their stores couldn't process a single payment. Rural communities lost access to food. Elderly residents couldn't get their medications. But Sweden was just the beginning. The digital shockwave spread to at least 17 countries. German IT firms, Dutch service providers, schools in New Zealand, all became collateral damage in this single, devastating supply chain event. On Sunday, July 4th, as Americans celebrated their independence, REvil posted their audacious demand on a dark web forum. The number was staggering: $70 million in Bitcoin. But this wasn't just another ransom demand. This was a business innovation that changed cybercrime forever. For that $70 million, REvil was offering something unprecedented: a single universal decryption key that could unlock every single one of the 1,500 plus victims simultaneously. Think about the psychology here. Instead of negotiating with 1,500 separate victims for smaller amounts, they created one massive price tag that would generate headlines, pressure governments, and force Kaseya to become the negotiator for everyone. The timing was calculated psychological warfare: attack when defenses are lowest, create maximum disruption during a holiday, then demand a ransom so large it becomes a geopolitical event. This wasn't just crime. This was the evolution of ransomware into strategic economic warfare. Now here's where the story gets interesting. While businesses worldwide were crying for help, law enforcement was quietly preparing their counterstrike. The FBI and CISA launched massive investigations. Kaseya made the painful decision to shut down all their VSA servers worldwide, essentially taking their own business offline to protect the customers who hadn't been hit yet. For weeks, victims struggled in digital darkness. But then, on July 23rd, the story took a mysterious turn. Kaseya announced they had obtained a universal decryption key from a trusted third party and were providing it to all victims for free. The source of this key was never officially confirmed, but the cybersecurity community widely believes law enforcement had quietly compromised REvil's own server infrastructure and seized their master keys. The criminals' own tools had been turned against them. The hunters had become the hunted. The Kaseya apocalypse teaches us three critical lessons that every business leader needs to understand. First, your security is only as strong as your weakest vendor. The supply chain has become the new front line of cyber warfare. You can have perfect defenses, but if your MSP, your cloud provider, or your software vendor gets compromised, you're compromised too. Second, cybercriminals think strategically. They study your vulnerabilities, not just technical ones, but operational ones. Holiday weekends, staff transitions, major events. These are when attacks happen. Your incident response plan needs to account for when your team isn't at full strength. Third, ransomware has evolved beyond simple extortion into a tool of economic warfare. The goal isn't just to steal data or encrypt files, it's to hold entire economic sectors hostage and force geopolitical responses. The business world has learned a harsh lesson. In our interconnected digital economy, a single vulnerability can cascade into global chaos. Vet your vendors, plan for holiday coverage, and remember, the next attack is already being planned. If this strategic analysis opened your eyes to the reality of modern cyber warfare, like this video and subscribe to Easy Digital Safety for more deep dives into the attacks that changed everything.